Take it away.
Hi, I'm Brenden Wedertz, and my senior project is focusing on the perception of skateboarding and what can be done to improve it. The skateboarding subculture comfortably supports 11.8 million participants, and it's unfair that a beneficial sport has to face so many negative stereotypes. Before I dive in though, let's take a step back. Most people know me as a skateboarder now, but that's not always been the case. In fact, may even be surprised to find out that I played baseball, basketball, and football. However, just because I played these sports does not mean that I enjoyed them even in the slightest. To clarify, I wasn't an exceptional player, but I wasn't bad either. I don't remember sitting on a bench during the baseball season, and I even played some pretty demanding positions like shortstop, pitcher, and catcher. Although I played demanding positions, I was really never satisfied. I always remember dreading going to practice and even dreading big games during the playoffs, hoping that my team would lose so the baseball season would finally come to an end. Oopsies. The older that I grew, the less and less that I attempted to hide my dislike for these team sports. In middle school, I started skating some, but still participated heavily in sports, so I was only skateboarding when I could find time between school and practice. It wasn't until 8th grade that I started to openly express my need to leave team sports and direct more of my focus towards what I was becoming passionate about, skateboarding. My interest in skateboarding and the desire to completely leave team sports led to multiple year-long fights about what else I'd be doing if I wasn't skateboarding. Or if I wasn't playing team sports. My parents worried about skateboarding just being another fad of mine and also worried about me getting involved in the wrong things. The prevalent perception of skateboarders is that they are antisocial and aggressive just by their nature. My parents were concerned about the negative stereotypes around skateboarding turning their child onto the wrong path. The negative stereotypes regarding skateboarding are incredibly misrepresentative and often based in bias. I believe that most of these stereotypes today come from skateboarding's history and people seeing a very extreme, disrespectful skater and assuming that all skateboarders are like that or aspire to be like that. However, this version of skateboarders is very uncommon today. Due to the history of skateboarding, there are existing stereotypes that hurt this beneficial sport. Existing stereotypes include skateboarders are noisy, disrespectful, and even trespassers. Sure, skateboarders were noisy. When wheels were made of clay, there really wasn't a quiet way to skateboard. However, with the invention of urethane wheels in the 1970s, the noise was greatly decreased. New and higher quality wheels are made today working to limit the noise that skateboarders still make, which overall is a lot quieter than the wheels prior to 1970. I don't think that anyone is able to make the claim that just because a group of adolescents participates in a sport, that makes the entire group disrespectful. Skateboarding is like most sports in terms of participants. Most of the people who participate are their own person, just like any football player or baseball player. A key difference between skateboarding and traditional sports is instead of competition between teams, skateboarders support each other in a variety of ways. Furthermore, there aren't teams, so individuals are shown respect. Skateboarders support and respect each other by encouraging peers to push their limits and go for new features and new tricks while teaching tips and giving out helpful advice, whether that be to set your feet up differently or simply take a few deep breaths before trying again. And as I mentioned before, skateboarders are seen as trespassers through the history of sneaking into backyard pools and attempting to skate other private features. My research explains how a big factor behind sneaking into pools is because this group is underserved in the facility, encouraging them to find other areas that would better serve them. History shows that skateboarding wasn't generally accepted when it was first introduced into society. This being understood, there wasn't a huge population of skate parks for people to go and ride, causing them to go towards more urban environments. The connection here is that because this group has been underserved, they went to more urban environments, creating the idea that they're criminals when in reality they are just trying to progress as athletes. Further research shows that there are few skate parks that have supporting facilities that would encourage longer visits. Supporting facilities include shaded seating areas, drinking fountains, and even trash cans. If a football player needed the field, they would go to a local park and use that as their space. Skateboarders have the same mentality. Unfortunately, skateboarding is just not as accepted by the public as football is. This is a photo of Bam Margera, who was a pretty intense and crazy skateboarder in like the early 2000s. He was a skateboarder who also appeared in some of the Jackass films, and so like that also kind of like led to his reputation of being like a little crazy and wild. He was known for his gothic look and intense energy. The other skateboarder is Mark Gator Rajowski, and he was a pro in the 1980s and 1990s, and his career ended when he was charged with criminal and assault charges. And I assure you that the majority of skateboarders are not killers and or rapists is what this guy was, which is pretty scary. More often than not, skateboarders are just like any other athlete wanting to be a professional doing what they love. Through this project, I stumbled upon many research articles that supported skateboarding benefits and advantages in ways I was unconsciously aware of. I knew skateboarding offered many different individuals a healthy alternative way of self-expression, but never really paid tons of attention to all the ways skateboarding can benefit and help people develop. Cooperation, sharing space, respecting others, and building self-esteem are a few of the many positive benefits that come from skating. In my eyes, the benefits skateboarding can offer overcomes the negative stereotypes the negative stereotypes. Skateboarders cooperate and take turns by encouraging other skateboarders to skate the same spot. More and more skateboarders in one area exemplifies the respect that skaters have. If a fellow skater gets in the way of another skater, there is rarely a problem. When this happens, almost always both sides say sorry, laugh about the jinx, and then get on with the skate session. Skateboarding is genuinely a happy activity, therefore skateboarders don't want to ruin this energy with unnecessary conflicts and problems. Learning all of the developmental possibilities and advantages skating has is really impressive and needs to be focused on more. I am fairly certain that the benefits of skateboarding and developmental advantages that it has are either misunderstood or just not an area of focus. Skating for about 5 years now and just recently becoming aware of these benefits supports the idea that the general public may not be fully understanding the benefits of this sport. Skate park was studied and observed in Australia. The observation period in total was 11 hours. The skate park study sessions were about 2 hours long during different times of the day throughout the week. So before school, after school, and on the weekends. Through the observation period, the largest conclusion that was made was that not only are pro-social behaviors much more frequent, but overall these pro-social behaviors are much more likely to be rated as occurring often. Specific pro-social behaviors that occurred often include respecting others, sharing space, cooperation, and building self-esteem. I discussed earlier how skateboarders are often very spatially aware, so they're able to share space, take turns, and cooperate. However, there's another big piece. Skateboarding is a very unique sport that requires mental and physical strength. This being said, every skateboarder has things that they're good at and things that they need to improve at. Due to every skateboarder having different strengths, self-esteem is built very easily. This allows new skaters to still receive support and cheers even if they aren't the best at the skate park. Skaters don't care if you're the best, they often care, or they care a lot more about creativity and how you treat others. This means that this skate park studied, which doesn't sound like an extremely different skate park from the one in Durango, was an area where pro-social behaviors were occurring much more than negative behaviors, providing youth with a positive area to grow. Through my research, a name that came up more than 10 times was Stan Jones. Stan was an assistant professor of landscape architecture at the University of Oregon and holds a high level of credibility while being a pioneer in skateboarding research. The reason that he has been so important in this research is because he and Arthur Graves, another Oregon professor, were the first to examine some of the benefits of skateboarding has for adolescents. Through my research, Stan and Arthur explained how skate parks encourage positive development for an underserved group in society. The story of Burnside Skate Park in Oregon clearly exemplifies how skaters may not be as bad as the general public may imagine. Stan and Arthur tell the story of the transformation of a Bridges underpass into a world-renowned skate park. Before skateboarders were donated large amounts of concrete from local concrete businesses, the underpass was overrun with drugs and prostitution. Skateboarders turned this area into a small but quickly growing skater-built skate park, and the skate park had incredible impacts on the community. To begin, skateboarders cleaned their community by recycling debris such as wooden planks and other trash from surrounding neighborhoods. And they use this as a filling for like a lot of these structures here to like build. So like they would have their frame and they'd use the trash as a filling. According to my research, local businesses appreciated the skateboarders for removing trash and other pieces of debris from surrounding neighborhoods. Burnside Skate Park demonstrates how skaters have potential to create positive change in their community. Similar to Burnside Skate Park, Durango has a skater-built skate park that is constantly changing and slowly growing. The makeshift skate park is located at the top of 6th Street. And here, skateboarders gathered rocks, dirt, and trash from the Durango skate park and other surrounding neighborhoods, using these objects as a filling for the quarter pipe. So this is a picture of the quarter pipe that we have there. It's like 3 feet tall, and it's made out of concrete with like pool coping and metal right there. And then, this is a photo of what it's made out of. So like we have cinder blocks, wood, even like beer cans are in there, which is super funny. I understand that I haven't even begun to talk about Durango's perception of skateboarding. This is so that I can convey some of the benefits that my independent research revealed to me. There isn't a doubt that Durango, Colorado is a small mountain town, and being the small, unique mountain town that it is, located near the Colorado-New Mexico border, there wasn't tons of information, or actually any information that I could use, because this has never been an area of focus until now. Furthermore, the largest generalization that can be made about skate parks is that beneficial behaviors are much more frequent than not. Generalizations about skate parks are hard to make because there are so many factors in towns that can lead to a successful skate park or hinder the growth of the skate park. To better understand the perception of our skate park and our skateboarders, I created my own survey to record the community's perception. I sent the online survey out to students and teachers at Animas High School. I sent it out to faculty, or to my coworkers at the DoubleTree, and I also sent it out to some locals that I met at surrounding coffee shops. In total, I had 69 respondents. Questions asked in the survey included age, gender type, and sports, or gender type of sports participated in, and whether skating plays a positive, neutral, and negative role in the community. In the survey, there was also an area to explain why the respondent answered the way they did. I attempted to get a data set that varied in age, gender, and sport in order to get the most realistic survey results, hoping that my results would be reliable enough to apply to other similar towns. Weaknesses in my survey included the small sample size that was unrepresentative of Durango. With the majority of my respondents being under the age of 20, this sample conveys a very young group of Durango respondents that may not represent the rest of the town. Even though my data did not show it, I believe there is some kind of connection between participating in an extreme sport and supporting skating. I think this because I feel like a large portion of Durango's population participates in extreme sports, so they're more likely to understand why somebody might be drawn to an extreme sport such as skating. As I stated before, the small sample did affect my conclusions. However, I believe that there isn't a common perception that skateboarders are super bad in our community. With limited urban environments, a pretty good skate park, and a skater-built skate park, skaters have two pretty clear options: either skate the skate park or skate the 6th Street spot. And I like to believe that skateboarders in Durango are fairly respectful, and can only hope that you've had as little bad experiences with skateboarders as I've had. Although I wasn't able to make clear generalizable conclusions due to the small sample size, I still was able to conclude that the group I studied believes that skateboarding plays a neutral role in our community. According to my survey, 86.1% of respondents said skating plays a neutral role, and only 13.9% said that skating plays a negative role. The overwhelming neutral result conveys that there isn't a huge perception that skating is wrong, instead that they're just indifferent about the sport. The indifference opinion is a lot easier to change than if the dominant opinion was that skateboarding is wrong or a bad activity. In order to change this indifferent idea, I hope to educate the public about the benefits of skateboarding, and also by cleaning the skate park and parts of the river trail. I just find it interesting to read some of the comments and reasoning behind why people answered the way that they did. Not saying any names here, and the comments varied from I don't know to I think that skateboarding can benefit some to it's not for everyone. And to my favorite one, dirty hippies stealing our jobs. Overall, there is a huge variety in their reasoning, and this opened my eyes to how some people may see skating from an outsider's perspective. Understanding that skateboarding really does offer many benefits to an underserved group, skateboarding needs to be supported more by the general public. If City Council is asking to allow skating in parks, support it. If a petition goes out asking to put a water fountain in the water or at the skate park, support it. The reality is that skating is a lot less dangerous than adolescents being unproductive. According to my research, skateboarding works to minimize the chance of cardiovascular disease, obesity, and other heart-related illnesses. Although skateboarding isn't as traditional as other sports, seeing it has a lack of coaches and scheduled practice, this does not discredit this sport for all the developmental advantages and possibilities that it holds. So the next time you see a skateboarder, don't think that he's an unproductive, disrespectful punk. Instead, just appreciate the fact that they're getting exercise and doing what they love. Thank you.
Nope, just stay up here. We're going to open it to questions. Audience members, please feel free to ask questions as well. And then panelists, obviously, you guys are on the hook too.
Jess.
I don't know if you ran into any of this in your research, but I've noticed in the course of my lifetime that, well, generally skateboarding has always been a male-dominated sport. But I've seen more and more young ladies get into it over the course of years. And I don't know, did your research reveal anything about females in skateboarding, and how do you think that impacts the stereotype to have girls out there thrashing too? Does it improve it, or, I mean, what is your opinion?
No, so like honestly, I didn't really focus on like the gender part of skateboarding. I know that Emily Williams did, and like girls skating, I think just like encourages like not skating, but just like kind of opens the idea that skating like isn't just for like this bad like outcast group. It's like skating is for everyone. Yeah. I don't know.
Why do you think that is?
I think that just like because skateboarding is like a pretty harsh sport, an extreme sport, like you do take a lot of falls. I feel like girls just aren't attracted to that. I'm not sure. Like I'm really not sure. Calvin.
For your survey, did you have a positive impact selection on it?
If skateboarding played a positive role in the community, yeah I did, but that just like wasn't as strong, and like the results I think was only like 10 or 11%. That I'm really not sure what the number was. John.
My question's along the same lines. Is that on your graph you had there? It didn't show a positive. Nobody answered positive.
Yeah, well, it's not that nobody answered positive. It's that my data result just showed like neutral as being the most like selected one, and so I thought that I could convey that instead of like, all right, well, just as many people said that skating is negative as they did positive, but I think that like it's more important to focus on like the indifferent idea. Kyle.
So I think of skating historically as being cities holding ordinances to reduce it. Do you know the path of that? Like, how cities have addressed skating, and is there a trajectory of change?
A big example that I found in my research was a place in Philadelphia called Love Park, and super famous skate spot. Like it's been in tons of skate videos, but before it was in skate videos, I guess they tried to like completely ban skateboarding at Love Park in general, and then there was a petition that like I want to say like a couple thousand people like signed talking about city council saying that they should allow skateboarding in that park, and so I'm not really sure like the process that like goes along with that.
And do you know the rationale for banning it, or
yeah, like the rationale for in Love Park was that just the wear and tear is just like too much for like it's just too expensive to like be a reasonable sport, especially or like at least in like urban environments like that.
Okay. Damage to the other existing like benches and things like
that.
Yeah,
exactly. Libby.
I apologize if you addressed this before I came in. I heard you say multiple times underserved population using skate parks. Can you just expand on that?
Yeah, so I didn't really address it too much because it was just a little piece of my research, but Stan Jones and Arthur Graves, the Oregon professors that I talked about, they talked about how there was evidence, or like it's kind of a conspiracy that city officials and like city planners like knew that this, or like I don't know how to say this. City planners like knew that like so like natural surveillance is like just people walking by like the skate park. They knew that like natural surveillance and like actual like having cameras there does like increase the chance of a successful skate park. But they'd put these skate parks on like the outskirts of towns, so there's no natural surveillance. So these skate parks are in like a pretty bad environment. Does that make sense?
I think so. So it sounds like when you're talking about underserved, you mean economic?
Yeah, like economic and like environmental. Yeah.
I think he also meant earlier in saying that, Libby, for part of which you weren't here.
TJ, this is not your defense.
Okay. All right.
I'll check in with you.
Brenden, I'm curious about you know, where do you go from here? So given your research that you've done and given sort of Durango's situation, you know, you can see like the comparison of like Burnside to our skater built park. Like two very sort of different aesthetics and levels of development. Like, given what you now know about designs of skate parks and given now what you know about Durango's perception of skaters, like, what do you think should happen next in this community?
And so the biggest thing that I realized, 85% of the reason that Burnside was successful is because of the funding that it got from local companies. Concrete Skate Shop is doing this thing right now where I forget what skate company is doing it, but you fill out this little like paper, sign it, or you send it in, you mail it to them, and then you like explain what project you're building, and they fund you like $200 or so. And so I think that like that's a good step to like, hey, we have this skater built skate park, the DIY spot. We're planning on like building more to it, and like right now I think we're making a manual pad. I think that just like contacting this company and like showing that like we have potential to have like a sweet area if we have like a little bit more money, I think that could like really improve the area of DIY or like the 6th Street spot.
And is that legal development? Like, who owns that land? Like,
honestly, I'm not sure like at all. Like I've heard of instances of the cops getting called, but then like this has also been around for almost like a year and a half now. So like if they really wanted it to not be a thing, like it wouldn't. John.
So do you think that question of who owns the property, are they trespassing, do you think that still contributes to the negative impact of skateboarding? Because you talked about it historically, people breaking into
No, I think that it does talk about the stereotype, but I also think it talks about how Durango Skate Park is underserving like the youth that use it. So like there are plans in Father's Daughter's pizza place that like show like what the Durango Skate Park was actually supposed to be, and like it's not half of what it was supposed to be. Shay.
There's a local lady, Lynn, and she's been trying to donate a ton of money to the local skate park right below Manasuk. And the problem that they've been running into is the Durango County from blocking it. And it'd be interesting to see your presentation because there's so many people signing a petition against building like a gazebo above it and a water fountain. It would help her out because she's trying to find more support. And I can get you the contact for that.
Take one more question.
G-Slice.
Assuming that's Garrett.
What have you personally done in your life to push back on those supposed negative connotations that are associated with skateboarding?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, like, the biggest thing that like I've tried to do is just like disprove that skateboarders are just like big potheads and just like don't do anything except like skateboard, smoke weed, and like disrespect like people. My biggest thing is like I've worked really, really hard like academically to like prove that skateboarders have like a lot more going for them than just like skating. And so like I don't know, that's my piece. It's like I've always just like tried to like school's been first and like work's been first always, and then skating. That's awesome.
Thank you, Brenden.
Yep.
If you'd step outside. All right, panel. So I'm going to ask you guys just to give me some feedback, and then I'm going to sort of summarize our feedback. So hit me, what went well, what did he do well, what could he have improved on in terms of both content and presentation?
I think for his presentation, he was a little bit disconnected from us in that it would have been the same for him had he been talking to Noah and had he been talking to us.
Eye contact.
There were a
couple moments where he like went off the note cards, and then it was like, so much better. And then he
Exactly. So
And the defense, you can see it too.
Yeah, and I think that interaction that really makes Brenden who he is that talking to him, and I think that him looking at us gives him that positive like interaction that could have made it better.
He definitely knows a lot about what he's talking about. I heard him say the stereotypes that, and I read this in his thesis when I was critiquing it. He would say the stereotypes, and he would say where they came from, but he almost wouldn't acknowledge that they're there. He would just disprove them. But I wanted to know why I have those, why people have those perceptions, if that makes sense. And I guess he acknowledged that he said
were you
they
comfortable
were there,
that you knew that those stereotypes existed before you read it, or were you just like, I really have no opinion?
I think I was forced to.
I was like on that survey.
You have no opinion either way.
You're not scared of it, you're not like,
Yeah,
yay.
like I wondered, like, I wish like